Live. Dude, can I call you back? I'm on call. Bye bye. Sorry. So we were talking about this software engineering interviews in general. I was giving Jay an overview of how interviews work, and we decided to basically record this because I'm fairly sure a lot of people want more insight into this process. So multiple categories of interviews depending on the position you're applying for. I'll start with the most general one. You're typically going to be applying for SWE, SDE roles, which involves a coding aspect. And typically these days, when you apply for ML related positions, they generally start asking you ML questions. The questions also fall into a number of buckets, which I will discuss. But before that, the coding aspect is generally lead code easy or medium. I've never come across a lead code hard in any of these interviews. I also haven't interviewed a lot, like maybe 5 or 6 across the board, but that's the level of difficulty. So I would say don't focus on solving hard problems, but focus on solving a large number of problems such that you know how to use these data structures. Like for me, I didn't know that there was a data structure called DQ in Python, which like allowed you to basically, it was a doubly ended list. You can pop and push on
Yeah,
both ends, right?
double-ended queue.
Yeah, doubly ended queue. Sorry, yeah. Well, queues are implemented using lists, so doubly ended list is also
Yeah,
fine, right? Yeah, but you see what I mean. Like these things are
yeah, yeah.
very nice, very easy, very convenient, but no one ever made us use it, so we don't know about the existence. At
Mhm.
least I didn't. So in that sense, try learning about those things, data structures in Python. Um, Try learning about. So for me, graph-based methods were important because in one of the interviews I was asked about BFS versus DFS just orally. Give me a 5 minute, give me a 1 minute explanation of BFS, and I accidentally
Okay,
ended up explaining DFS, and they were very kind about it, but that shouldn't happen.
okay.
Um, um, yeah, like explaining concepts in 1 minute is a very good test, I believe, for a candidate's understanding more than like giving them a coding problem and saying, okay, solve this. Um, yeah, anyway, so one of the interviews I was in, one company I interviewed for, there was only research interviews. So this was like the classic PhD style of interviewing where you have deep research discussions. You go into technical challenges, but you don't really code. So that's
Okay.
one of the I would say privileges of being PhD students, that you don't have to sit down and do software engineering interviews. In fact, interestingly, a couple of PhD students here told me that like we don't like coding interviews because like we don't want to go down and do that. Like I and that's where all of this comes in. Like you have engineering teams and you have research teams, and you see where the disconnect happens when research teams don't want to do engineering. I was always confused about
Yeah.
why that is. Like why would people not want to, but people do. So getting back to the interviews, so that was research focused interviews, but that's not something most of you are going to have to do at like your first interview. What you will be applying for and doing is more of the software engineer plus ML kind of interview. At least for most of you are interested in AI, that's what I'm describing. So there are 2 or 3 types of ML interviews. One of them uses like a problem discussion approach where from the ground up you are given a problem. Like in one company I was given a problem called churn prediction, and churn is basically your customers leaving you. So how will you
Yeah.
predict at what point your customers are going to leave you? And then I have to start asking the interviewer questions about what data do I have, what metrics do I have, what is the problem setup, like what team are you on. It's most often team related. So if this was like the databases team, then you have database usage metrics. If this was the cloud storage team, then you have storage usage metrics. So you have to know a bit about these things beforehand, and that's knowledge you will only get if you have worked on these things. Like that's you can't just read about it and know. So
Okay.
one thing you could do is like try looking at these DevCon talks, especially interesting ones. That one of these talks, I don't like notebooks, was a very 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 popular talk because JupyterCon invited this guy to talk about why Jupyter notebooks are bad, and it was a
Okay.
very nice talk, very accessible, very understandable. So
I think that's by some LNEI guy, na, like who is working on that.
yeah,
Maybe
Joel
like because
Bruce.
of, yeah, I think
So
I also
that's
saw that thing like
Yeah, so yeah, it's a definitely a very nice talk. So anyway, like things like that give you more intuition about why a particular product or service is good or bad, and that allows you to talk more about like just talk more intelligently during an interview,
Okay.
right? So ML interviews, one approach is problem discussion, like data visualization. What model will you go for? What will you start with? And then you go from linear regression to deep neural networks to discussions of why a neural network might fail. Practical discussions, like if you're new, what do you do to sort of check that your neural network will actually work for the data? You don't just keep throwing new
Mhm.
neural networks at it. You create a small data set, see if that neural network can actually overfit on this data set. Does it have the capacity to learn? And then you go back to the larger problem and all of that. So it's things like these that like you will be discussing in the problem discussion oriented approach to ML interviews. There is another approach to ML interviews that I just went through this year. That approach focuses on a rapid fire, like okay, what will you do for time series data? What is cross validation? What are different types of cross validation? What How do you avoid overfitting? What regularization do you use for this problem? And like just a very not simple but like very quick progressing interview that requires you to know a lot of ML basics. So Fanny just joined. I'm just going to comment. So I was telling Jay about the interview process I went through, and we decided to record it, so that like just to give you guys more insight into what to expect for your interviews, and that's why I'm talking about all of this. Um, so to pick up where I left off, that's another kind of ML interview where you have just like concept based questions where you pick up a basic machine learning textbook, and I say basic because there are very complex machine learning textbooks also. Just pick up a basic textbook or just go through an online course, I guess. What I can't name one off the top of my head, but I think Hugo La Rochelle has a university there, Sherbrooke course, where he at least it's like a basic level course with, I wouldn't call that basic also, but at least it goes through all of these things that talk about machine learning, makes life easier. Anyway, so that's those are like the two kinds of machine learning interviews. One is problem discussion, one is concept check. um, I think machine learning discussions typically, at least research oriented interviews, if you're ever applying for a research engineer position or research I haven't applied for research engineer, I applied for research intern positions. So in that sense, it highly depends on the interviewer, what they want to ask you, and they typically rely on their field of expertise. So if you ever get information on the interviewer beforehand, look up their work, understand what they're doing, even if it's like 5 to 7 minutes before the call. Just get a background understanding, so that you know whether like okay, am I completely in the deep here? Do I know nothing about this field, or like am I going to be
Yeah.
able to answer some questions? So that then for me, for this one company I interviewed at this year, it was a 4 hour or 5 hour blitz where initial hour was just recruiters talking us through the process, but the next there were four back-to-back interviews, 45 minutes each. It had ML problem discussion, it had ML concept check, it had software engineering, it had behavioral. The behavioral actually turned into a technical interview because they asked me to describe in detail a core technical project I had worked on. And it is important for you to have these projects because I feel like they set you apart. One of the things I focus on was like I'm an engineer at heart. I'm a PhD student, but I love engineering. So my software, I will be one of those people who has documented that obscure function that I'm calling only once. And that struck a chord with them because they were also an engineering team. They had a few research people, but by and large, they were all engineers. So you also have to understand team specific things. If you're ever applying for a research position, then you will have to also prepare in advance in terms of what sort of projects would you want to work on. This question will come up, and if you know nothing about the team or the people, you are going to be in the deep end. That also happened with me. I prepared for the wrong team. I suggested to actually I can talk about this. Facebook rejected me because I spoke about this nice project that was perfectly fitting with my research, but I was applying to California, whereas the team that worked on this project was in London. So they said maybe you should internally talk to them. But I also did really badly on the interview. I mismanaged time. Oh, this is crucial. I prepared a lot for this interview because it was my first interview this year, and I was like, okay, let's whiteboard this. Even though I caught the trick, even though the recruiter said, yeah, you caught the trick, just code it up. I was like, no, no, let me take 5 minutes to just whiteboard this, and I literally moved to the whiteboard and I whiteboarded it, and I realized I have 9 minutes left to code it, which was a huge mess. Very sad, but very sad because I got the questions are not hard. Like I told you before, like if you prepare for like 20-30 days doing lead code questions, you're not going to find hard questions most of the time, but
Okay.
they will be tricky. So the trick is really what you have to figure out. The coding is
Hmm.
fine, you will be able to do it.
Yeah, like implementation should be kind of similar, but like to crack that, like this particular like question fits in this way, it's like the main question.
Hmm. Hmm. So that
Like,
tends to happen.
yeah, yeah, like
So
probably because I have heard like once you like go for MS, like then you directly start for finding the internship as such. Like, well, it starts like around October,
it yeah, yeah,
at least. So yeah,
yeah, these interviews are like too many interviews too quickly, and you just don't have time to prepare. But it's
yeah,
another story that through interviewing you learn to interview better.
yeah,
It's a
that's true.
trade-off. Always try to get referrals. That's one thing you all already know, but like just the extent to which referrals are important was not clear to me earlier, but now it is. So get referrals for the companies you're applying to, and get referrals not from interns, because I was a part-time intern at Adobe and I referred a bunch of people, but nothing else seems to be happening. But get referrals from people who are higher up. That gives your profile a better chance of being seen.
Like I am thinking of applying for data science like in two programs, basically
Mhm,
UMIST and NYU
mhm.
especially. So yeah, maybe from that and like I was basically in data science. If I do master, so like do they ask kind of data science only or like software engineering related things? But
You're
I am
talking about
more of
master.
into NLP
You're
like
talking about
interest.
interviews, or you're talking about masters? I'm not clear. Jay,
Sorry.
are you talking about interviews or are you talking about? I wasn't clear on your question.
No, like I mean, like I was thinking of applying for two programs which are like masters in data science asset. So in that case, like, do they consider like for data science positions or like software only like initially at the start? Maybe if we have like courses and all like prerequisites basically in data science and like that way.
Masters is going to look at your general app. All masters programs in general look for your general aptitude. They don't have like specific requirements for okay, you have to have NLP experience if you're applying to NLP. It's always good to have this experience, but none of them keep it as a requirement, to my understanding.
Okay. Because NYU has specific tracks now for NLP related data science. There are specific tracks like
So yeah, so
so.
that is the case, but that tracks are Oh, no funnel. I can hear Jay. Jay can hear me. Sarmishta, can you hear
Yeah.
us? Sarmishta, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on. I just woke up, so I'll join properly in like 5 minutes.
No, no. We were responding to Fennel's message because Jay and I can hear each other. He couldn't hear us, so I was just checking if any
Yeah.
problem was on your end as well.
Oh, okay, okay. I need to brush and take out my mouth guard and stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that about interviews and this question about masters. Um, what else do I want to say? I don't think there's anything else I want to say. We let Fennel rejoin and then start. In the meanwhile,